It has begun. The Federal Reserve has started raising interest rates to fight inflation. But higher rates come at a cost. I'm talking beyond the cost of higher mortgage payments and car loans. I'm talking about recession. Politico recently noted that 9 times since 1961, the central banks have embarked on a series of interest rate increases to rein in inflation. 8 times a recession followed. But are higher interest rates necessary to tip the economy into recession? Or can inflation by itself, the inflation unfolding before our eyes, cue an economic downturn of recessionary proportions? Signs are beginning to emerge that our country is headed towards an economic downturn. As Americans fight to keep pace with prices of goods and services that have relentlessly moved higher over the past year. Bloomberg reported recently that American consumers are starting to hit their breaking point. The data cited in a recent Wall Street Journal article revealed unit sales of general merchandise goods fell in 9 out of 10 weeks from the end of December 2021 through early March 2022. NPD Group, the market research company that compiled the data, also found that 43% of consumers they surveyed said they'd hold off on discretionary spending if prices keep climbing. We are seeing less demand as consumers pay higher prices, said Marshall Cohen, NPD's chief retail industry advisor. Price sensitivity is starting to show up. There is a threshold that consumers don't want to go over. In other words, inflation could finally be at a point that Americans are not able to simply shrug off higher prices and will reduce their spending. It's not difficult to understand why. Recent data from Bloomberg Economics says the average U.S. household will have to pay $5,200 more this year for the same basket of goods they bought last year. And if Americans collectively begin to restrain their spending, as evidence now suggests may be happening, the result could be lower national economic output. The longer consumers rein in their spending in response to the highest rates of inflation since the early 1980s, the more difficult it will be to emerge from recession that seems increasingly inevitable. When asked to explain changes in their finances in their own words, more consumers mentioned reduced living standards due to rising inflation than any other time except during the 2 worst recessions in the past 50 years, from March 1979 to April 1981, and from May to October 2008. Will the inflation that we are experiencing right now prove to be the catalyst of another U.S. recession? We can't know for sure, but it is that type of uncertainty prompting retirement savers to add tangible assets like physical gold and silver to their retirement savings. For more information on how you can diversify your savings with physical gold and silver, schedule a one-on-one web conference with me and my education team at AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
Hey guys, Joe Montana here with my man Devlin Steele. He and his team at Augusta Precious Metals are constantly putting out new information to keep you ahead of the game. Click subscribe now and hit the notification bell to stay up to date. You'll be glad you did.